Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
When the Canadian Football Hall of Fame guys were carrying in the cup last night, my heart started skipping. It's like we've been to dozens of these, and it never gets old. It's so exciting.
You know, once you come to a Grey Cup for the first time and experience the festival around it, not just the game, but the game's obviously special as well, but going to the team parties and just going to the live music that you have on the street and all the awards and the galas and just all the things, it sort of gets addicting. And we have people, like I have people all the time say to me, I've been to 32 Grey Cups. I've been to 12 Grey Cups. I've been to this. I meet all my friends. I take my holidays. I do it every year, and it's very infectious.
This is what I say. Everyone's the same and everyone's different. They're unique in their own way. Yet now the imprint's largely similar, and as you say, you were running these for years. But I don't know who's responsible, but this has a Super Bowl feel. And this, because I kind of feel like I was in Vegas last year. This is the same thing. And you guys went down there?
Yeah, you know, what we tried to do is, and you're right, and Moj, obviously, and he's saying the same thing. He goes, Dwayne, I go to Super Bowl every year. This has that vibe and that feel. We wanted to make sure that, you know, you can experience different things. Like we have people in front of us right now trying to field goal. You can make a diving catch at the WestJet experience, CFL experience. You can take a zip line outside. You can take a zip line in here. We want to really just entertain people. It's all free. We want people to come down, have a good time. And the more people that don't really even, like local people from Vancouver that have never been to a Lions game before, maybe they might come down and go, oh man, I want to go to a CFL game. So that's really what it's all about.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the RP Show. Brand new week kicking off. Episode number 1384. I am in the Florida studio where it's a beautiful day. Moose is in the Toronto studio where I'm sure it's a beautiful day. Let's bring the Moose in. Hey, Moose, I need you to help me out a little bit here today. Nothing really major, but I feel like I'm ready for the weekend already. And do you know why? I have my cranium pumped full of stats and numbers and analytics and being a words guy, not a numbers guy, I find it a little exhausting. Coming out of the weekend, we're going to get to a lot of it here on the Quick Six Show topics. Do you know what I mean? It's just numbers. In sports, they're just somewhat overwhelming. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. It's just bang, all in your face. But you know what? I would say to that, and it's funny that we both rolled in here. You got your Cowboys quarter zip on. I got the Titans quarter zip on. Because both of our teams have sucked, and we both got wins on the weekend. So forget about all the numbers and all this stuff. I think we just sit on Monday and just enjoy a rare victory Monday for once this year.
Yeah, and just be fans. Can we do that? Can we just be fans? Coming up on the program today, we got the snowman, Brian Snow, to discuss a little National Football League, and Dave Dawson, a somewhat legendary Junior A hockey broadcaster from Western Canada, to talk about the college hockey, junior hockey wars, just to take a little more inside that for all our hockey fans, because we are in the throes of hockey season. I don't know who the director is today, but whoever's in there, can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please, and we'll let her rip, please, and thank you. All right.
Let's go.
All right. So 1A. I'm going to split point one into a couple. 1A, Darren Mitch Marner scored twice in a second period surge as the Toronto Maple Leafs defeated the Utah Hockey Club 3-2 Sunday night to extend their winning streak to 4. The victory came in the first ever meeting between Toronto and Utah. William Nylander added his 14th for Toronto, which had been off since Wednesday's 3-0 home win over Vegas. Now, Moose, you were there. You were at Scotiabank Arena. So what the hell am I sitting here as the host for? You take it away. You had a special guest took you to the game. You had a great time, and you saw the Leafs win everything. turned out nice again. Tell us about that.
Yeah,
please.
Turned out to be a pretty good hockey game too. Utah went up and it was tied, and then the Leafs got it back. And in that second period, bang, bang, bang. They got it tied. They got a couple goals quickly, got into the 3-1 lead, and a little bit of hang on for Toronto in that game. Utah's a good hockey team. We look back at Arizona and we just have that connotation. There's some good young players there. And actually, it's funny. We met some family of Lawson Krause, some family outside. They were wearing the Utah shirts. They asked us if we could take a picture, and I was like, I can take your photo, but you got to tell me the connection to Utah and why you're wearing the Utah stuff. And sure enough, they pulled out a photo of them and Lawson, and they were there to watch him. And I said to them, man, your road trips to watch him to watch Lawson on the road sure took a nosedive, hey? Going to Phoenix, going to Utah, and they laughed. They said it's really good, though. And it's really cool. But the game was good. They had a pushback. The Leafs kind of hung on at the end. And really, it was only the John Tavares line that was playing last night. It felt like it anyways. They were the only ones, at least in the second half, getting any momentum. But fun night. Only game in the show last night.
Yeah, sounds like it. Good for you, man. By the way, I should tell you folks, the Alberta Skincare text line is open, 902-518-3033. You can reach us here in the studio at that number. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alberta Naturals. Check them out at alberta.com and use the promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. And I appreciate all those that have ordered. They're very happy with coming aboard the RP show. So thank you, everybody, for ordering in droves. Not your mom's skin cream. I'm telling you, man, it'll make a difference. So before point 1B is also NHL. Drew Bannister is out as coach of the St. Louis Blues after less than a full calendar year on the job. Jim Montgomery back behind the bench of an NHL team 5 days after being fired by Boston. This came down Sunday. The Blues fired Drew Bannister, hired Montgomery as his replacement. A stunning move a quarter of the way through the NHL season that puts a seasoned coach in charge of shepherding St. Louis through a retooling period and into the potential reopening of the organization's Stanley Cup contending window. Now, here's what you need to know. As we are headline readers, we just saw Bannister fired, replaced by Jim Montgomery. What? 5 days after he was fired in Boston. Blues president and general manager Doug Armstrong said he did not anticipate making a change at all until Montgomery became a free agent. Doug Armstrong met with reporters via Zoom on Sunday and explained why he made this fairly stunning move, because I got to sit here and think, Darren, I've looked at MGM bets, Ontario bets, various betting sites that all had the coach firing odds, and Drew Bannister wasn't on anybody's radar. And as it stands here right now, they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. But Doug Armstrong just explained it. He wouldn't have fired Bannister at all if Jim Montgomery hadn't become available. Does that make a little more sense to you and the hockey buying public?
Bingo. And correct me. I'm gonna go back to your line. Is it Bobby Vespasiani? Is that the name? Because it's before my time. Better is better, right? And when Jim Montgomery got fired by Boston, we knew they needed a shakeup. The Bruins needed a shakeup. The players kind of take onus of this, the whole deal. But Jim Montgomery's a great coach. And we all kind of thought, okay, who's going to make the next move and scoop him up? Because he should not be sitting on the sidelines for long. And I really thought maybe this is an opportunity for Pittsburgh. They don't want to move off Mike Sullivan, but maybe they make the move off Sully. They go to Montgomery and they save their season. Well, everybody was sitting around waiting to see who would make the move. St. Louis made the move. They're like, you know what? We can be better. It's not necessarily that we don't like our coach that much, but it's this guy's better. He's one of the best in the NHL. He's a proven winner, and he can take our team where it needs to go. And they went out and got him. And, kudos to St. Louis for having the stones to make the move.
Yeah, and after Jim Montgomery left Dallas, we all know what went on there. It was the Blues that hired him as an assistant coach. So Jim Montgomery, very familiar to the Blues staff, particularly general manager and president Doug Armstrong. So we wish him well. You had me at Bob Vespasiani. And if you're going to quote Bob Vespasiani, can you throw in the Massachusetts Italian accent? Better is better. And our viewers, the older ones, because we owns the 55-plus age demographic across Canada, they'll remember Bob Vespasiani as the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders from the 80s. He was our assistant GM with the Rough Riders in the 2000s, and he had that Massachusetts Italian accent. Better is better. And we used to go out to the airport. This reminds me of the story, Travis Boyd of the Minnesota Wild. You saw this story where he raced into the Saddledome to play with the Minnesota Wild with the team services. You saw that, right? He landed late in Calgary to come play and got there just ahead of warm-up, and he was with the team services guy, and they got there just ahead of the Wild's warm-up. Similar thing. Well, just traveling with the team services guy with the Rough Riders. His name was Ryan. Me, Ryan, and Bobby Vespasiani, whose nickname was Bobby V, would always on road trips go out to the airport ahead of the team. Always. Just, I had a slight anxiety problem. I wanted to get there early, right? So we would show up at the agent and go, he would say, we're the Bobby V3. That's what he would say. We're a band. We're the Bobby V3. Haven't you heard of us? See, he would do that every trip. After a while, I kind of got it. We're the Bobby V3. We're here. We're flying. Here's all our instruments. He was a real character, Darren. And we lost him a year or two ago, Bobby V. Better is better. I'm glad that stuck with you. The poll question today, before I jump to football, is brought to you by our friends at EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com, and visit their roster. What's Canada's best hope to end the Stanley Cup drought of 1993? 21-year drought, 31-year drought. Who is the best hope to do it? Winnipeg Jets, Toronto Maple Leafs, or other? And we had a longer debate on this in our morning meeting as to what teams we should put in the poll. Darren was part of that conversation. We don't want to upset Oiler fans or Flames fans because they're in a playoff spot, or Canucks fans. We just said Jets, Leafs, or other. And Winnipeg's running away with it. Winnipeg is running away with it. I just saw that this morning, and that's who I'm voting. Winnipeg is the best, Canada's best chance right now. That's how I feel, and that's who I voted for. How about you?
I feel that Winnipeg is the best team in Canada. But I will vote Toronto being the best chance to win the Cup simply because the West is too crowded. You know, the Canucks, the Oilers, the Flames, they all got to get through each other to get to the Stanley Cup final. Whereas Toronto, they got to go through tough teams in the East, but they're the only Canadian team out there. I think the path is a little clearer, but I'll vote Toronto.
Of course you would, because you're a homer. By the way, checking in from the comments, John Edmonton writes in, he says, I voted for the Oilers. They were in the poll. Okay, I might have thrown Edmonton in. I didn't care because I can't see past Winnipeg. I'm in the Winnipeg tunnel because that's who it is. They got the goaltending. They got the talent. It appears they have the coaching. They have the hunger. They got it all. Jenna in Southern California writes in, and Jenna says, great weekend of sports. Let's go. Buffalo handled the California NHL teams and the Dallas Cowboys. Turpin time. And Jenna says, spring football work. And Rich in Edmonton says, can St. Louis, what Jenna's referring to is Kervonte Turpin, the star of the Cowboys' win yesterday, did come from spring football for sure. A find of the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm getting to right away. Rich in Edmonton says, can St. Louis be better, though? That's a damn tough division, and I certainly don't have them in the top three with that roster. Well, Doug Armstrong thinks so. They won a Stanley Cup in 2019. I'm with you. It's a very difficult division. Nashville hasn't even begun playing yet. Nobody's even told Nashville the season started. Wait till they wake up. But Doug Armstrong didn't want to see Jim Montgomery go anywhere else. So that's the news there. So to the NFL, Saquon Barkley rushed for 255 yards to set an Eagles record in Philadelphia's 37-20 win over the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football. The Eagles won their 7th in a row, and the star running back finished with the 9th most rushing yards in a game in NFL history. Meanwhile, the game of the day Austin Siebert missed his second extra point of the game with 21 seconds to go after Washington's Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin connected on an 86-yard touchdown. Dallas's Junia Thomas returned the ensuing onside kick for a touchdown, and the Cowboys pulled out a 34-26 victory Sunday that extended the Washington Commanders' losing skid to 3 games. So here's my thing. We were going, Darren, to go meet Kevin the Medium and his lovely gal Allie for supper. Actually, we were going to pick them up at the airport here in Fort Lauderdale and go for supper. So I got my phone up to my ear because Serena doesn't like to be bothered with these things. And I said, we're going to overtime. 27-27. And she's like, oh, I'm listening to it. And I'm like, oh, wait. The Commanders missed the ensuing, the point after. So the Cowboys are going to win. And the voice of the Cowboys, who's been on the show, Brad Sham, I'm listening to the game. He's like, this game is drunk. 2 return touchdowns, 2 missed field goals, a blocked punt. It's never happened in the Super Bowl era in the National Football League. It was the game of the day. Now, Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Cowboys, for now, was asked about the game, the win afterwards. He's like, feels good to win. It's been a minute. It's like you. You're not fooled into thinking the Titans are going to make the playoffs. I'm not fooled into thinking the Cowboys are going to do anything. But, man, it just I can't turn away from my team. I assume it's like you. You can't turn away from the Titans. As much as you want to, you just can't.
You can't. And I'm watching the game yesterday a little bit, and I'm like, guys, don't you realize we're trying to get the first overall pick here? Like, it'd be really nice if we could get Shedeur Sanders or, one of these great quarterbacks. I mean, we got Will Levis, who's a young quarterback, looked pretty good yesterday, but we kind of aren't that excited about him. Aren't you realizing these wins hurt us? But as a fan, you can't help it. You want to win. The players want to win. The coaches want to win. Everybody in the building wants to win. And the fans want your team to win. No matter what, as much as I'm like, this is going to hurt our draft position, you want the team to win. And then your mind plays tricks like, you do math, if we do this, maybe we could, catch them. We're only 4 games back in the division. But you know what? That's okay. That's why, you'll never lose that as a fan, and you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, you can't turn away from your team, even if they're the garbage Raiders, with Gardner Minshew being lost for the season yesterday for Vegas, and Bo Nix going in there with Denver, which we went with the odds makers, and they were right that the Broncos would win on the road. Why I won't change from being a Cowboys fan, despite the fact they're toxic, and I know it. I know a toxic team when I see one. It's the only team I've ever cheered for in the NFL, and I really, really love them. I like going to games there. For those that have just tuned into this show that are new, like, I live in Miami now, or very close to it, and I've had a lot of people try to sway me to be a Dolphins fan. They said, you should change from being a Cowboys fan, because as a Dolphins fan, we don't have the expectation. There's way less frustration. We don't expect anything from the team, and they never deliver. You're always upset with the Cowboys. And I'm like, yes, you're right, but I can't go away from my Dallas Cowboys. Interesting what you say, though, about drafting Shedeur Sanders and all the various players you need. We in Dallas have everything. We have all the players. We got the quarterback. We got the receivers. We got the DBs. We got the linebackers. We got the D-line. Let's have a horrific culture. Horrific culture. And that's about all I have to say on the Dallas Cowboys. Jenna in Southern California writes in, says, nope, I could never leave the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just looking forward to division wins. Oh, yeah, we got New York on Thursday. I wonder if Chris from the Bronx is tuned in. They're calling that the Tryptophan Bowl on Saturday.
How about that?
Have a lot of turkey, and if alcohol is your thing, indulge. Because the Cowboys-Giants on Thursday is going to be... Ryan in upstate New York, who knows a lot about toxic teams. He's a New York Jets fan. He writes in and says, good day, Rod Squad and Moosaholics alike. Well, you've tuned in just in time for our first break. We are halfway through the Quick Six. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live on YouTube, and, of course, wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Water, drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. Rolling along on the Quick Six show topics. Here we're only to point 3 as we bring the Moose back in. And by the way, John Ohm has shown up. John Ohm in Winnipeg. Ohm says, speaking of the Winnipeg Jets, big game tonight in Minnesota. Go, Jets, go, baby. The number 1 team in the NHL. Well, they have my vote for they are Canada's darling. Before I move on to with the rest of the topics, Darren, do you not feel that I feel like Canada's ready to get behind the Winnipeg Jets as Canada's team? It was the Senators in 07. It was the Oilers in 06. I assume they were last year. I wasn't there for it. Flames in 04. It's Winnipeg's time. I sense that.
Yeah.
How about you?
I can get behind that. And I think Canada is too. I think, Winnipeg's a team that is easy to root for. I think about this and you think about fan bases. They're easy to root for. People love the prairie people. They're hardworking. They're not super outspoken. And the Jets have that fan base, right? They're not loud, obnoxious. They're not in your face. They're not rubbing it in your face when they win or lose, right?
John Ohm does.
Sure.
John's all
Everybody's
of those
got
things.
one.
Yeah. He's the exception that proves the rule. But the one thing, you've lived in Toronto long enough now that Toronto has this misconception that the rest of the country hates him. Now, a lot do. I don't. I like Mitch Marner. I respect the hell out of Austin Matthews. Brad Treliving is a former Regina Pat. That automatically makes him a great guy. Craig Berube's from just outside of Edmonton. We don't hate the Leafs. I could get behind the Leafs. But history will show there's no reason to. Sorry, Darren. The Jets, I believe, will be Canada's team this spring, and I think Canada's ready for it. That's just me. I guess we're going to find out. Now, to point 3, the Laval Rouge et Or are the Canadian University football champions for the second time in 3 years. Felipe Forteza kicked a Vanier Cup record 6 field goals and a 22-17 win over the Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks in Kingston on the weekend. Next year's Vanier Cup will be in Regina. 6 field goals, 22-17 win. I got to be honest with you. I didn't watch it. I saw the photos of the stands. The end zones were empty. I had friends there, not the least of which was Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos. There were quite a few of my friends there, but I think they were the only ones that were there. Congratulations, Laval. They win it again. Seems like it could have been a better game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it ended up being close and, was entertaining. Laval moved the ball, but just couldn't punch it in, and not a single touchdown in the game. And that's tough. For sure it is. And, it's unfortunate for Laurier. It's such a great offense. And at the end of the day, we say defense wins championships, and it's kind of a saying that we haven't really used all that much lately. It really proved to be true. Laval's defense was really good in the football game and contained maybe the best offense in the country. And they win a Vanier Cup, and that's just ho-hum, right? For Laval, all they do is win Vanier Cups. They have such a dominant record in the game. They're always in it. And over the last 2 decades, they've been the best team in the country.
We got some great comments coming in from the viewers here. Just to say, next year's Vanier Cup will be at Mosaic Stadium in Regina. If you look at the date, it was November 23rd this year. Hey, it's going to be cold. Okay? And here's hoping the Rams are in it. I don't know about these neutral site Canadian University games, but they've been doing it for a long time. So here's hoping for the best. From the Jets fan, we got some good stuff coming in here. John Ohm, boom. He goes, Winnipeg Jets, Canada's team. I like it. I'm going to shout out loud for my Jets. Love your thinking, Rod. He goes, I love being the exception to the rule, as do I. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, I'm with John. Go, Jets, go. Gotta stay out of the comments. Man, I get sucked in all the time.
How about that?
902-518-3033. The comments of the RP show are quicksand. It's quicksand of daytime television. Don't step in it. They just pull you down. Not in a bad way, but you wrestle with the Gators, which reminds me. Kirk in Toronto's watching on the Game Plus TV network right now. He writes it and says, hey, Rod, there's plenty of laws in the conservative state of Florida. I saw a young, hot girl in a bikini on YouTube get arrested for drinking on a Florida beach. Well, Kirk, what videos were you looking at there, guy? I'm not sure that I want to know. Oh, there's laws. They just largely don't enforce them, and I don't feel like getting into that today. The speed limit is similar to the Arizona. The 101 that goes around Phoenix. It's the guideline. It's like the Autobahn. Here it's insane. You don't got to wear helmets on motorcycles. Don't get an argument with me, Kirk. You live in Toronto. You just stay there. I'll stay here, and we'll be good. But I do got to say this, Darren. We got into this new TV series. Have you heard of Gator Boys? Have you heard of the series Gator Boys? It's on Animal Planet. Okay, it's 2 guys who it got popular in 2012. They were really hot like a decade ago. The Everglades Holiday Park. It's 40 miles from our house what happens is you've seen this enough, you've been around me enough to know that alligators just randomly show up in people's backyards, people's swimming pools, golf courses. So if that happens to you, call the Gator Boys, Paul and Jimmy, and they'll come get your gator. And the series is cameras go with them, and hilarity ensues. And this is awesome, man. They showed up at this house that they showed up in could have been like Wascana View. You know what I mean? Beautiful house, big backyard. And they're like, there's an alligator in my pool, the lady says. And they're like, okay, we'll go get him. And she's like, where's your tools? And they're like, these are them. And they do it by hand. They get these alligators. Gator Boys, Animal Planet. Check it out. It's amazing. That's our new thing, and we're obsessed. We got 6 seasons to go through on that. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in and he says, 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown in the Cowboys game. Somebody would have won $1 million in Canada if that was a CFL game. Remember that controversy, that one game with Winnipeg? I think it was Winnipeg, Toronto. You Winnipeggers tell me. Tressman, for sure, was coaching the Argos, and one of the kicks was called back, and I believe the ref screwed it up. I believe it was Karen from Winnipeg got jobbed out of $1 million because of an official's call, which I think he got wrong. Remember that?
Yeah. And all I can imagine is that CEO from the commercials from Save On Foods calling into the command center, plug me into the official's ears right now. You better call that touchdown back. You know, like, we don't got $1 million to give away.
I know. Exactly. Yeah, that's coming next. I'll get back to the comments in a second. Point 4, Donovan Mitchell scored 26 points, and the NBA leading Cleveland Cavaliers improved to 17-1 with a 122-108 win over the Toronto Raptors on Sunday. Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick led all Raptors scorers with 18 as Toronto's 2-game win streak came to an end. As Mike Hogan and I put our heads together last week, we tried to figure out, what is a Cavalier? What is a Cavalier? Do you know? Because I don't know.
I do not.
What's a Cavalier? Chevy Cavalier?
I know it as an adjective, right?
That's a Cavalier attitude?
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
What is a thing?
I'm going, oh, wow. Look, Clark's got this one. Producer Clark has chimed in. According to the internet, which is always right, a cavalier is a gentleman or a soldier, a knight or gentleman who is trained in horsemanship and arms. I'm a little worried, however, because Google now isn't really, when I type in what is a cavalier, AI comes up, not Google. Have you had that happen? Because I find myself going to Google 2-3 times a day, various things. It's AI that comes up, not Google. And I'm not sure I trust it as much as I trust Google. How about you?
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. But
you don't? Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing. I don't know if that happens for me or not yet. I haven't noticed.
Okay. Until something catastrophic happens, we'll go with it. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler scored a season-high 33 points, leading the Miami Heat to a 123-118 overtime win over the Dallas Mavericks. Bam Adebayo had 19 points and 10 rebounds for the Heat. They might become my NBA team. I've never really loved the Raptors. I hate college football. I feel like we'll just have to push more of this to next hour. But Canadian quarterback Curtis Rourke and his Indiana Hoosiers are no longer undefeated in U.S. college football. Will Howard passed for 2 touchdowns and rushed for another as second-ranked Ohio State beat fifth-ranked Indiana 38-15 on Saturday. Rourke is the brother of BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke. Curtis was 8 for 18 for 68 passing yards and was sacked 5 times as Indiana fell to 10-1. Did you watch that? You were probably too busy. I watched it. Did you watch it?
Some of it. You know, Indiana, I think, very much is still a playoff team, and they should be. Ohio State proved that they're one of the top teams, as we knew they were, in the country. But what's interesting is, like, Indiana moved the ball down the field. I think it was 70 yards or a little more on the first drive of the game, right through them. And then after that, couldn't do anything else, right? Had, I think, 150 yards of offense the rest of the way. maybe total. It was a tough game, but they'll be fine. And Curtis Rourke is definitely belongs on that field in that stage.
I'm getting it now. Here's the thing. I'm not dumber than your average picnic basket. Like, I'm figuring out college football, and I'm debating with college football fans about the play of Curtis Rourke. I'm like, he didn't fire the snap over the punter's head. He didn't fumble down in the red zone. He didn't miss this tackle. Like, this wasn't Curtis Rourke's fault that he lost, because there's OSU fans saying he's never played in front of a crowd this big before. He's never played a game this big before. I'm like, he'll be fine. He will be fine. But I don't want to fight, and I don't want to argue. But here's where I'm figuring this out. They said I saw this morning on ESPN. Maybe you did too. There's a 97% probability rate that the Hoosiers are going to make the playoffs, the college football playoff, the 12-team playoff, despite losing to OSU on Saturday. 97%. And now I'm getting why, and we might get into this with Brian Snow next. This is why it matters so much how much you beat a team by, because to the panel that will select those 12 teams, it kind of depends your margin of win in your wins. So it's not about how many wins you have. It's about how dominant those wins are. At the end of the day, it's still a politics thing, which sucks, but it's better than they used to have. They didn't even used to have a playoff at all. They just named the national champ. Oh, and quickly, Monday Night Football tonight, John Harbaugh's Ravens at Jim Harbaugh's Chargers. Do you know who's older out of the two? The Harbaugh Bowl tonight in L.A. Do you know who's older?
John's older.
I'd have had this wrong. Yeah, by 15 months. Tell him what he's won, Bob. You got it. John's older by 15 months. Okay, see you in hour 2.
All right, see you then.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. The snowman's coming in next. Brian Snow to talk some NFL and college football if he's down. We're live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour with figure skating icon Elvis Stojko, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice, coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues on this Monday, a brand new week. Hope you all are doing just fine. Let's bring in the snowman now. I'm just interested to know his take on his 49ers on Sunday. I'm trying to get the exact stats, but my internet's going wonky. What I do know is Josh Jacobs, 106 yards for Green Bay snowman in a 38-10 rout of your 49ers at Lambeau. Did you watch the game? I'm sure you did.
No, I didn't, because when I got the word that Brock Purdy would be out and Nick Bosa would be out, I felt an embarrassment coming, and what proved it was the first drive of the game when Green Bay was able to march right down the field and stick it in the end zone. I knew it was going to be a long day. I knew it after that first drive.
And it's ended up being that. What a story Green Bay has been this year, but Snowman with us from Snowman Media in Indiana. He is a lifelong 49ers fan, and I think there's a lot of those lifelong 49ers fans. I saw it at Super Bowl last year. It just feels like from the jump, they're not the same San Fran team that was in Vegas last year at the Super Bowl. Snowman, what do you see with the 49ers?
We're beat up. We're beat up bad. When you lose Dre Greenlaw, a player the caliber of Dre Greenlaw, to a year-long injury, it kind of set the stage for us, because then we had the drama with Brandon Ayuk, and then we saw a couple of other players go down. This is a 2020 vibe for me, because we lost our first game in 2020, yes, and then we won 2 in a row. But if you remember then, when we went to play the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium, we lost 7 players to injury. We lost players to injury before the season even began, and that all began with Christian McCaffrey, losing him for the first 8-9 weeks of the season. We finally get him back, and it just seems like defenses have figured him out. We lost Trent. We didn't have Trent Williams yesterday, but when you don't have your key players, it is so tough to perform and continue to perform at a high level. The 49ers have done their best at next man up mentality. I mean, Jordan Mason had 145 against the Jets on opening night, but it's just been so many pieces we've had to plug and play due to injury. It's just been such a tough season for San Francisco.
So are you willing to just write this off as a blip, just a one-off? I mean, let's be honest. The Trent Williams thing wasn't good. The Ayuk thing wasn't good. So I'm just saying it would never just seem to be your year. But you're just going to scrap it and say it's one of those years? Or
yeah,
can you do that?
Yeah, you can scrap it and say it's one of those years. I mean, there's still a chance for the Niners to get into the playoffs, but A, they have to get healthy, and B, they have to run the table like they did 3 years ago to get into the playoffs. And yes, I can somewhat see that happening, but also somewhat I can see the Niners, playing this out like they did the 2020 season. Of course, COVID was going on at the time, but the Niners were still significantly beat up like we are this year. And remember, for a couple of games, we didn't have George Kittle in the offense. So we've had pieces missing on our offense, which was second last year, and we're in the lower third of offense this year. The biggest problem that we've got to solve, two biggest problems we've got to solve. A, we got to get a better defensive coordinator because Nick Sorensen is not it. And B, we've had so many problems in the red zone. And it's just so weird for me that from what I've seen over the years and have covered over the years, to see the 49ers struggle this much in the red zone. That's the first problem they got to solve in the offseason.
Snowman, please finish this sentence. The Super Bowl will be blank against blank.
Kansas City against Philadelphia.
Dun, dun, dun. You're off the Lions bandwagon or what?
I'd love to see the Niners perform a miracle and come back and play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. No, it ain't. Not with as many injuries as we have to overcome.
Eagles are hot, though, my dude. And look at Nick Sirianni torching his coordinators last year, pointing the finger at them. Maybe he was right. Doesn't hurt to have Saquon Barkley there either, potentially the best player in the NFL, let alone the best back. But are you saying it's not how you start, it's how you finish?
It's always how you finish in the NFL. I mean, Philadelphia got off to a slow start. Before the bye, they got blown out by Tampa Bay. Then Saquon Barkley found his footing. I mean, last night he torched the Rams for 255 yards, which is his career high. You go as far as Saquon Barkley carries you if you're Philadelphia, and if they're smart, they will build and run the offense through Saquon Barkley. I mean, why not? I mean, he just gave you 255 yards last night. Run the offense through him. You got your answer. If you're an Eagles fan, and I know plenty of them, and in a way I am one because I love watching how they have built their team, everything has to go through Saquon Barkley, and that's that.
Will there be a coach fired before the end of the year, or are we just waiting now for the bomb to go off in certain places?
There will be a couple of coaches fired before the end of the year. And we've already seen it with the coaches in New York. I think Gerard Mayo is sitting on the hot seat. In many ways, I'd like to say Kyle Shanahan is sitting on the hot seat, but Kyle Shanahan is not on the hot seat because you can't dictate injuries. You can't dictate when they happen. What I am going to say is that Nick Sorensen is on the hot seat because he was handed a top 5 defense and now it's in the dirt. So Frisco has to look for another defensive coordinator. I will say this. Matt Eberflus, or as we say on Snowman in the Morning, Matt Uberfools, is definitely roasting on the hot seat because you get the top pick in Caleb Williams. You get your franchise quarterback. Great. Here's the problem. You haven't fixed the offensive line around him, and I still stand by my words when I was on your show before. Wasted pick, wasted money.
I'm saying you got to decide, man, who you're going to point the finger at there in San Fran, the injuries or the defensive coordinator. I don't think you can have both.
Oh, no. They did last. They had a problem last year, and they brought in Steve Wilkes, and he righted the ship. They might bring him back. You could point the finger both places. Injuries are the overview of what has gone on this season. When you're missing your best players, it's going to put a dark cloud over your team. But there are 3 losses I can point to in San Francisco where they outsmarted themselves. Seattle, the Rams, and Arizona. They had a 10-point lead in all 3 of those games, and they choked them away. They have no business making the playoffs this year.
Let's not forget your coach blowing the overtime rules in the Super Bowl. You still realize.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I know.
Exactly.
I'm not.
All right.
As one of my buddies says on my morning show, I'm a homer, but I'm not stupid. I know what happened, and I watched it happen.
That's a good one. I think we should get T-shirts made that say that, Snowman. Okay. Quick and dirty.
Step ahead of you. I'm creating those T-shirts already.
Okay. Sounds good, man. Hey, quick and dirty as always. You be good. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. I love you very much. Thanks for having me.
Love you too, pal. The Snowman checking in from Indiana. We have a sports update and whatever you all would like to talk about next in viewer takeover. We got Dave Dawson coming up to talk NCAA Junior Hockey Wars in hour 2. We're live here on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Mo.
The moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, hockey fans, listen up. We're going to talk about a very key hockey point in a moment. But first, for teams, are you looking for just the right place for your team bonding sessions and outings? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to build your team. Whether you're from the Calgary area or on a road trip from out of town, book your lanes today, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. I could be like every other show. And a lot of them I find are boring because they're all talking about the same stuff. Not so many have the stories that I got. I'll tell you that for free. You let me know, Clark, when you have the photo ready, if you don't mind. Mike Hassenfratz passing away over the weekend. That's all good. NHL, that's not good. Clark's talking in my ear about Hazzy. Can you throw it up again? Mike Hassenfratz, he's a Regina guy, refed in the NHL from 2000 to 2014. I love me some Mike Hassenfratz. Take him off. I will cry. We're to start with Mike Hassenfratz. Again, Regina guy, refed in the Dub for a long time. And long before I even got into the WHL, we were just long-time Regina hockey guys, Southern Saskatchewan hockey guys. How about that? And he was also a bartender in Bonzini's. So the people watching right now from the Queen City, maybe you remember him there. And I was an alcoholic. So I was in the bar a lot. And I'd sit there, me and Hazzy would sit and we would talk hockey for hours. And of course, he always had the towel over his, he would stand there behind the bar with a drape. One time he's on the other side of the bar and I'm like, Hazzy races over, throws me the towel. He goes, I'm very observant. I'm a referee. And then I got into the WHL. He's reffing games. I'm calling games on the radio. One summer, we were in the parking lot of Grainfields in Saskatoon on 8th Street. And anybody that knows Hazzy can see this. He was leaning against his sedan. Hazzy said, or like, yeah, the guys aren't very happy with you. I said, yeah, what's that? By the guys, I knew he meant the other referees. You're roasting them too much on the radio. I said, I don't care. Tell them to be better. They're awful. I never roasted Hazzy because he was a tremendous referee. I had no reason to roast Hazzy. We had that coach in PA, Chris Stewart, who I never liked. And I remember one time he threatened Hazzy with like, if you call one more, blah, 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 I'm going to... Hazzy, do what you have to do. It wasn't a shock to any of us that he got to the NHL because he was so great. He's a fantastic referee, but a major character. And to be honest, there aren't too many of those guys left anymore in this game and in that profession. Mike Hassenfratz. Condolences to his family. Great guy. Great guy. You can throw it up to take us to break. I'll get to the sports update after the break. Rest easy, Hazzy. You were a beauty.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, yes, guilty as charged. Thank you, Rick Regan, who is from Boca Raton, Florida, by the way. Fun fact, our big voice guy. I'm going to guarantee you that this hour is going to go real fast. I'm in the Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio, and we're going to go off the road a little bit, Darren. I know I wanted to talk college football with you, and we will. It's been quite some time since I got broken up on the air, but that happened near the end of last hour, talking about Mike Hassenfratz, the former NHL official from Regina who he passed away over the week. Allie in Texarkana writes in and she says, prayers to his family and friends. Did you know Hazy at all?
I did not, unfortunately, but great story. I was watching at the end of the hour.
Yeah, we'll clip that, post that as a eulogy to Hazy. Beauty, Darren, beauty. And I didn't think that you'd know him. I just wondered if you remembered him as a fan, because you grew up a Dub fan. That's when he was reffing in the 90s in the Dub. As much as the 80s were the greatest decade of all time, and I see that mullets are making a huge comeback with children these days, that's from the 90s. As far as junior hockey went, it was the best time. It was the best time. And I was telling the audience, specifically John Ohm, Hazy was a bartender at Bonzini's. Go figure. The referees all seem to hang out there. And in retrospect, Darren, it's because Hazy worked there. He probably got him drinks. I was attacked by a referee one night in Bonzini's, probably something I had done. Jeff Nicholas, I also don't mind saying, attacked me. Darwin Forbes pulled him off me. So you were listening there that last hour when I had. Did you like the Graydon Fields parking lot story?
Yeah, with the cigar, right? Yeah.
No, cigarette. It was a cigarette.
A cigarette, okay.
Guys were kind of mad at you, Rod. You roasted them too bad. I don't care. They deserve it. This was the Brad Myers, the Darwin Forbes, the Jeff Nicholases, all these guys. But going back to how things change, okay? Couple things here. You saw me say this show's different than all the others in a lot of different ways, but we have the stories, we have the personality, and that includes Darren, not just me, and our staff. I'm going to tell you something. Saturday night, I'm in the press box at American Bank Arena, minding my own business. Colorado was here. Are they good? And it's wonderful when Serena comes to the game with me because she is like the PR person. Normally, that's me. You see how I work the room. I don't want to, but I know that's kind of what you got to do. When we come, she does all the visiting. And I just go and sit and eat my egg rolls and I watch. Well, they had egg rolls that night in the press box, and I'd watch warm up, and it was good. This guy from over my shoulder in the second row goes, "How was Vancouver?" He was an off-ice official. And he knew that I was at Grey Cup. So I got my egg roll. I'm like, "I'll be right with you." So I go up there. And we get talking. And he says to me, he goes, "I'm not supposed to be talking to you." And I said, "Yeah, why is that?" "Oh, it's in the handbook of the NHL. Off-ice officials aren't to be talking to the media." I said, "You started the conversation." I was eating my egg roll. You know what I mean? But that's just, It is what it is. And he kind of laughed. And he was like, "Well, I don't really see you as media." I said, "Well, you see me however you want." Really good guy. And we were, as Serena pointed out later, she's like, "You guys weren't even talking about hockey. You were talking about Grey Cup." I'm like, very good point. But do you see how it's different now from what it used to? And I don't know who ruined that. And maybe it was me, because everybody was afraid in CFL circles to tell me anything because I was going to report it, which sort of say, guys, that kind of is my job. But I have a tough time in today's sports world navigating myself because it's just not the way that it used to be. You know what I mean?
Well, you never.
I don't know how you are with that. You seem
expectations are right, and what's allowed, what's not. It used to be open doors. I can walk into this box and that press box, into the office, and say hi and all the rest. And now you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be there. You got to stay here. You got to stay in this area. And I don't know who ruined it for all of us, but at the end of the day, if you're a good person and you're polite and you're easy to deal with, you shouldn't have any problem.
But we used to talk to the refs. We all used to talk to. We used to hang out, and now nobody hangs out anymore. Just kind of lost that way. I don't know what we're supposed to do. 902-518-3033 is the Alaterra Skincare text line. And you can also write in on the YouTube chat. We're on Game Plus Television, Canada-wide. I probably got somebody in trouble with that story I just told. I don't think so, but somebody's always in trouble these days. I like to think that it's not me. Yeah, I got to stop. From the text line, Darren, Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, "Hey, Rod, 4+ million watched the Grey Cup. Bravo." Surprised it's not more. Didn't they have like 3 million when it was on TSN last year? Wasn't it on CTV this year? Did you?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I was in Canada for it. I'm surprised it's not more. But I'll read some comments and then you can glob on to any of them that you want. Bill in Brantford writes in regarding our poll question today: who is Canada's best hope to win the Stanley Cup and end the drought for EMJ Marketing? Winnipeg, Toronto, Edmonton, or other. Bill writes in and he says, the Leafs have handled the Winnipeg Jets the last 3 games they faced each other. Jets can't seem to handle the Bill from Brantford, which includes the Leafs winning in Winnipeg, handing them their first loss of the season this year, right? So he makes a good point. Although I don't think the regular season is not the same. John in Edmonton writes in and he says the Elks add longtime Sherwood Park Rams head coach Jim Skitsko as ambassador of amateur football. Awesome. And Corey in Radville writes in and says, "Hey, Rod, you've probably talked about this lots, but just wondering what happens with a WHL contract and this NC and how this NCAA stuff works." Can they leave a WHL contract to go south anytime they want or just when their contract is done? Peesh. Timely question because Dave Dawson's joining us later on this hour, longtime Junior A broadcaster, and he's worked in the Dub as well to kind of navigate a little bit of this NCAA junior hockey wars because I think that they're wars. Did you have comments on any of those from the viewers, Darren?
Yeah, on the NCAA thing, I will say what my understanding is that's maybe the big issue that they're trying to work out. And I don't know if there's resolution on that, but that will be one of the issues for the CHL is enforcing the contract. They want to enforce the contract and be able to keep the players playing in their league. And then also, if the player breaks the contract and leaves, will the NCAA let them in if they have a contract with another league? Probably. But what are the penalties then for breaking the contract? Do you lose your education money? Is there any penalties whatsoever from the CHL for breaking the contract? I think that's a big issue that will get worked through.
Corey, we'll put that to Dave Dawson when he joins us later. But what I love here amongst our audience is they don't really understand. Well, shoot, nobody understands really what's going on between the NCAA and junior hockey right now, but they want to learn and they're asking questions. I have an association right now, professional contract with a hockey guy. And I said to him, he played the WHL after his 20-year-old year, played university in Canada. And I said, would you have gone to the NCAA if this was the rules back then when you played? He goes, I wouldn't have played as a 20-year-old in the Dub. I'd have gone to the States as a 20-year-old, right? So that's just how it changed. He played youth sports in Canada. He wouldn't have. He'd have gone to college if the opportunity was there. And by the way, he was a great goaltender. So I think he would have had that opportunity. Back into the audience. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, morning, fellas. Just tuned in. How about them Packers?
How about that?
We discussed it last hour at length, Brent from Wellington, Florida. And you beat up San Francisco team. Bravo. 38-10 for the Pack at Lambeau. Well, there you go. Darren's putting on the lid. You look more like a Quaker. You look like a Quaker.
Yes.
More than a cheesehead. And by the way, speaking of, your cheesies are at my house, Brent. What do you want me to do with them? Utah Darren writes in regarding my eulogy of Mike Hassan-Fratz. He says, when anyone describes you as a beauty, you were something special. John Ohm, I love Rod stories. Oh, I got a million. Where were we? Medicine Hat in the Medicine Hat Lodge. I think it was a lodge. Maybe it was Cranbrook. It was a blur, Darren. Hazzy was staying in the same hotel. You guys want to come get some wine with me? Yep. Let's go. 1:11 Eastern, by the way. 1:11, guys. 1:11.
Where are they? Somewhere.
Still there, Darren?
There it is.
Beautiful.
Terry, the lawyer, writes in. Hey, Rod, do you think Joey Decord will be given any thought as Canada's Four Nations goalie? Apologies have already batted around. Number one, you don't have to apologize, Terry. And number two, we did not talk about this before. And number three, Clark was pointing out that the roster is going to be released next week. I haven't seen Joey Decord's name on any list anywhere. And in the end, who will it be? Oh, what are we thinking? Aiden Hill, Jordan Bennington, some are saying Marc-Andre Fleury or other. Today, Carter Hart's case is being tried, if I'm saying that properly, in London, Ontario. What's going to happen if all these players figuratively skate on this? Are they going to be welcomed back to the NHL? Because Carter Hart would have been my guy.
I think eventually the door could be open to the National Hockey League return. But do I think even if they come out and exonerate them today, there is zero chance Carter Hart's on Team Canada at the Four Nations face-off. Zero. Less than zero. Not happening this year. Could he be an Olympic goaltender? Perhaps. That's up in the air depending on what happens. But he's got to be playing. I think he's got to first be welcomed back to the NHL. He's got to have a contract, be on a team, and he's got to be playing at a high level. Those things all have to happen before he'd ever be considered for Team Canada. But I think you got the goalies right. Maybe Sam Montembeault was a dark horse, maybe a front runner earlier in the year, up and down season. But I know we're thin at the goaltender position.
Well, John Ohm, who's had a lot to say this morning, but it's all good. He says you have to tread very carefully on eggshells in today's sports world. You have to in society. But fortunately, I've been around the block a few times with my other career, know the ins and outs of the law pretty well. So I know what I can say and what I can't. And what I was referring to with the Carter Hart situation, not speaking out of turn, but I want to get this right. This is from today's Sports Wire. A judge is hearing legal arguments today in London, Ontario, in the sexual assault case of 5 members of Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey Team. Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, and Alex Formanton are charged with sexual assault earlier this year in an incident that allegedly took place in this city in June of 2018. All 5 are expected to plead not guilty. So when you say there's no way Carter Hart plays in the Four Nations Cup, is that because the Four Nations face-off? Is that because of optics, or that he wouldn't physically? Assuming they skate, for lack of a better term. Let's just say that they do. You don't think he's going to play because why?
All of the above. Optics, number one. Hasn't been playing. Don't know what level he's at. Hasn't been playing. There's a lot of things, and I think just with everything Hockey Canada's gone through, you don't need it, right? And you got enough other goaltenders that can play. Now you want the best, and maybe Carter Hart, would be considered the best, or if he's, playing and at his level, but we don't know for sure. And I think it's just, they're not willing. It's too much of a risk.
Not arguing. I get it. Just asking. Terry, the lawyer in Calgary, goes on to say, 922 save percentage. Yeah, if it only came down to stats. If it only came down to stats, Darren Fleury would be in the Hall of Fame. You're talking about politics. You're talking about who's a friend of who. And by the way, Terry, you're from Calgary. Aiden Hill's from Calgary. You should be pushing him. It's not just about stats. I'm not sure that it ever was. Anyways, we'll take a time out. Darren, we have our NHL breakaway bets to get to, which is always fun. Here's the thing. I was missing it over the weekend. I don't know about you. I miss playing it over the weekend.
I go look at the Score app on a Saturday or a Friday, or a Saturday, I flip it open to see what the games are, and then I'm like, we didn't pick any of these games.
Wait a minute.
This sucks.
Exactly.
Look, why am I here?
Exactly. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Alaterra Skincare. Check them out. It's not your mom's skin cream, everybody. And it's not taboo for guys to use it. Not anymore. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, wherever you find your podcast.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brand new week in the old RP show. Ba-ba-ba-bum-bum. Is your skincare starting rotation giving up big hits to wrinkles, age, spots, and acne scars? Revitalize your self-care roster with Alaterra's all-natural lineup of nourishing products. Check them out at alaterra.com. Use the promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. Let's bring the Moose in. Regarding the 5 members of the 2018 World Junior team that are having legal arguments heard today, Tony in the sexual assault accusation. Tony from George Fox Country writes in, he says, I don't think we'll ever see those 5 back in the NHL, and if they do, they'll be booed off the ice, I imagine. Well, who knows? Look at Chad Kelly and what he went through, and he's back playing. Different, but not that different. David in Winnipeg writes in, he says, majestic-looking scenery in that intro. It's South Florida, bro. That's why I love it so much, and I really love it. Moose, I never got to the sports update last hour because I got into my eulogy sounds so not hazzy, into my story time with Mike Hassan-Fratz, who passed away over the weekend. Regina born and raised, NHL referee, and every time I look at him, I tear up. Thought I was past that. Just a good hockey guy. Just a good Regina hockey guy. 3 Canadian teams are in action tonight in an 11-game NHL slate. The Ottawa Senators will try to snap a 5-game losing streak as the Calgary Flames are in town. Flames have won 4 in a row. Later, the Jets visit the Minnesota Wild in a clash of the NHL's top 2 teams. Let's just, before I continue, the Flames, they are not even a household name, these players, in their own house. I'm looking at the score app. I know who they are. Yegor Sharangovich, he came over in the Toffoli trade, right, from New Jersey. Dude, Craig Conroy has made some incredibly savvy trades in his time as general manager. Was it Kuzmenko? They got from Vancouver for Elias Lindholm, who's not even in Vancouver anymore. Dan Vladar was in goal Saturday. It's not all just Dustin Wolf. How far do you think this Flames train can go, Darren? Let's be honest.
Well, it can go as far, obviously, as they'll take. Like, it can go a ways. I think it can go a long ways because, I said this last week, this is, to me, a team where everybody's bought into a role. Everybody realizes they all need to be playing at 100. They all need to be pulling on the rope for this team to win. They're getting goaltending. Defense is playing. Nobody, it doesn't feel like, has an ego around that team, from Craig Conroy to the coach to the players. It's not like you have Matthews, Marner, Nylander, or McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman, or even Crosby and Malkin, or any of this, where other guys on the team can say, they're going to pull us out of the ditch. They're going to take care of it. Oh, they'll find a big goal. We just got to, keep this game scoreless. They'll find a goal. Where it seems like in Calgary, it's like, okay, we all got to do this. Everybody's got to play a little part. And there is nobody going to save the day. And I think when you have a team like that, it's dangerous because they're really hardworking and hard to play against.
I was going to say, dangerous for who? Great for them. Tony in Cochrane writes in, he says, if the Flames win and Vegas loses tonight, Flames are first in the Pacific. Wow. It's, I was thinking on the weekend how I was at a dinner party one time with three-time Grey Cup champion Victor Stevenson, the professor. And he said, the great thing about social media is you can find out anybody's opinion 24/7. The worst part about social media is you can find out anybody's opinion 24/7. And on Saturday, I think it was the Flames Nation Instagram account that said, who would have thought at the end of November, the Flames would be in first place in the Pacific? I'm like, it's not the end of November, bro. It's not even the end of the day. By the end of the day, Vegas was first place in the Pacific and Calgary is second. But I get it. And when you say they are dangerous, dangerous to their opponents. But I got to say, those hockey connections do run deep. And, I'm very proud of my football friendships, but the hockey ones run real deep. And with Ryan Huska, saw him this summer at the WCBL League Final. He threw out the first pitch in game 1 or 2 of the WCBL Final in Okotoks. We had a brief, met his wife and his kids. It would not be easy coaching in a Canadian market because you stick out, And a year ago at this time, which was Ryan's first year with the Flames, it wasn't going too well. They had a lot to clean up. A lot. I think they're still cleaning it up. It's not over. I don't know how long it would take to change a culture, if they're even going to change a culture. But the one thing, and the Flames know that I know a lot of people within that organization, so I hear it all. It's incredibly positive with what's going on. Shoot, Ryan came down to the Century Downs Casino. You've seen all the photos.
Yeah.
You were part of that show. Not there, but I don't know Craig Conroy at all. I don't think I've ever met him, but I know Ryan quite well. We did the 2012 World Juniors together. I was the broadcaster. He was the assistant coach for Team Canada. I want it to go so well for him. I don't want it to go off the tracks, but I guess my point is they're not that good. There's no McDavid on the roster. Come on. There's no Draisaitl on the roster. There's no Scheifele. There's no Matthews. There's no Marner. There's no Connor.
Right.
They're not this good.
But it's a team. And isn't it refreshing when a team and that whole concept of team can actually drive results? You know what? If we don't have those guys, we can still win and buy in as a team. And every coach is out there saying, look, there's no excuse. When you don't have talent, now as a coach, and I think this is on Ryan Huska more than anybody, he's really got them to buy into team and to culture. I think if you look back before Ryan Huska and, when you look back to tree living and the old culture, it's a lot easier to establish new culture with new people than it is to change culture, because people are stuck in their ways and hard to change. But if you can bring in new people and establish new culture right from the beginning, I think that's a little easier. And I think Ryan Husk has done a great job of that. Craig Conroy, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't really know what's gone on there. Daryl Sutter, I was with Stampeders people at Grey Cup because they're all under the same umbrella. And, whatever. I'm close with some Sutters, not close with others. I don't care what my Sutter family friends think when I say Daryl's not the reason for the bad culture, but he didn't help it either. You know what I mean? So that change needed to be made, and a lot of things had to be corrected, and it looks like they are being corrected. And I'm with you. I'm just excited to see how far it goes. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, shows you what the supposed experts know. Jeff, the Stamps fan, was just lurking in the weeds, waiting for the chance to pounce. Here's the thing. And John in Edmonton writes in and says, the Flames train hasn't even left the station. I'll say to you, John in Edmonton, the Flames and the Oilers have won the exact same amount of Stanley Cups since 1991. 1990, the last time the Oilers won it. So pipe down. And Jeff, the Stamps fan, it's still November. So this expert who had Calgary picked to finish last, they still could. Tony in Cochrane writes in and says, well put, Moose. Flames are a good team. Leave it to Moose to put the eloquent bow on it that I can't. I guess now would be a good time to do the breakaway bets. What the hell? What say you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. This is called sport betting. We make picks. We don't put any money on it. You should try it. Can we trademark that? By the way, Gary in Penticton writes, and Gary with 2 R's. He says, great show as usual. Flames will not win in the first round of the playoff. Bro, if they make the playoffs, that is the Stanley Cup for them. Come on. We will celebrate it like it's the Stanley Cup. I had them picked to be last place. So did a lot of people. What?
But can you not, you don't go to a wedding when they're saying I do and the doves are flying and everybody's toasting and say, yeah, but they're going to be divorced in 10 years. So why are we all here? Don't worry about the first round. It's good now. Just be happy.
That's what I say. That's what I say at those weddings. Okay.
Yeah.
Nashville at New Jersey. Can I go first? I'll take New Jersey. How about you?
Okay. I'll take the Preds.
Really? Sucker. Vegas at Philadelphia. Vegas for me.
I'll take Vegas as well.
The Dallas Stars at the Carolina Hurricanes. What the pundits, actually the odds makers, said was going to be last year's Stanley Cup final. Dallas at Carolina. I'll take the Canes.
Okay. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to go Dallas on the road.
Okay. It's the game of the night, clearly.
It is.
Washington at Florida, and I am not going. But I'll take the Panthers to win over the Ovilus Capital. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers, too.
St. Louis Blues and Jim Montgomery at the New York Rangers. The Blues got to win that one. Dead cat bounce. What do you think?
Rangers are talking about roster moves, too. But I'm going to go with New York after a bad game in Edmonton.
Colorado at Tampa Bay. Man, is Colorado good. Rematch of the 2022 Stanley Cup final. I'll take Tampa Bay.
Okay, I'll go Colorado.
All right. Detroit at the New York Islanders. Two teams I can never pick properly. I'll take Detroit.
I know. Okay. I'll take the Islanders just to be different. I don't know who to pick in this one.
Calgary at Ottawa. Got to say the Flames, man. They're hot.
Yeah.
4 in a row. I'll take the Flames to win 5 in a row. You? Same?
Me too. Yeah.
Okay. Winnipeg Jets at the Minnesota Wild. Tuffy, you go first.
That might be the game of the night. I'll go with the Jets.
Okay, I'll take the Wild because they got burned in Edmonton. Just to be a contrarian thinker.
Yep.
Seattle at Anaheim. To a vaunted hockey rivalry. The Kraken and the Ducks. You go first.
Kraken.
Okay, I'll take the Duck. I really have no idea. Clearly, you don't either. And the LA Kings are the San Jose Sharks. What are you thinking?
I'll take the Kings in this one tonight.
Me too. Times duh. Okay, I think that's got it. Any last words from you, Moose?
We won't talk about it again, but my last thought, I was thinking about this earlier in the show. You mentioned Vanier Cup potentially not being a neutral site game. You know, I agree with you. If that's what your opinion was, or it was just a thought. But I think the Vanier Cup maybe shouldn't be a neutral site game, should be a home game for one of the teams, and determine winner the UTEC, winner the Mitchell Bowl, and switch it every year. Because who's going to the game? I mean, hopefully Canadian fans are going, and there was fans in the GTA that went to the game with no rooting interest. But parents, supporters of, Laurier or Laval, they were buying their tickets that week. You got to wait to find out anyways. So you're buying last-minute tickets regardless. And we know when you have a home playoff game for a league championship, a conference championship, or a national semifinal, you pack the place anyways. These schools can pull off great events. I think it could be awesome. The only way I'd like to see a neutral site continue is if it was tied to the Grey Cup.
Well, just remember, this was not my suggestion. Canadian football don't want to know my opinion on how to do things. Canadian football people, that's why I moved to Florida. This is Moose's idea, not mine.
Yes.
And John Ohm says, you're not going to see Ovi tonight? Come on, man. He's hurt, bro. He's out. Long time. Moose, smoke him if you got him. Have a great afternoon.
See ya. You too.
We're going to talk NCAA Junior Hockey Wars next with Dave Dawson. The guy is in the know. From HN Live, we'll be right back here on Game Plus Television. Live streaming on YouTube and, of course, podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, the RP show continues on a Monday, talking hockey. And I guess I got to throw in the plug again for Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players. I said it, not them. But go check it out if you haven't yet, especially all you teams on a road trip. Let's bring in Dave Dawson now. We're going to try to make some sense of the NCAA Junior Hockey Wars. Hey, David. Matthew Decker has written in, just so you know, before we get off the ground, he goes, the unofficial color commentator on the road for the Fort McMurray Oil Barons and spokesperson for the Family Fun Balloons. Excellent choice to talk about the NCAA CHL rule change. You've called AJ games, WHL games, and I don't even know how far we need to go into this, other than for those uninitiated, NCAA has now declared all junior hockey players are eligible to play college hockey. Boom. Chaos ensues. How's it look from your perspective?
Chaos ensues for sure, Roddy. And I remember when the ruling came down, we were at the Rocky Mountain Classic, which was one of the U15 premier showcases on the calendar. It was a couple weeks ago in November, and it was in the Hockey Canada office of all places, doing some interviews, and ended up bringing on some agents and Dan Neer, the Western Hockey League new commissioner, and chatted with them. And I asked all of them, I said, is this kind of one of those moments in hockey that, you know, when you think given the world, everybody remembers where they were, you know, September 11th, 2001. Everybody kind of remembers where they were. COVID-19 pandemic comes down. I said, in the hockey world, is this one of those landscape shifting moments you're going to remember where you were? And they all kind of said, well, there's a lot of cards left to be played out, but so far certainly seems to be that way. It's been just a monumental landscape changing announcement over the last couple of weeks.
Tell me why. I don't know if I have time for viewer questions because I got a million for you. And again, I've been following your Twitter feed. You've been really on top of this. What does this specifically mean for the BCHL? Like, what's going on out there? Again, if you don't know, it's too late to get caught up now. Google it. But they left Hockey Canada and the CJHL to do their own thing, right? And then 5 Alberta teams defected to join the BC League because they thought it would be better for themselves and the players. And now that's looking like a bad decision. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, and it's funny. I think in a lot of ways, I have kind of been put on the pedestal as public enemy number one of the BCHL. I don't know how that happened or who decided that ultimately was going to be it. But when all that news came down last year, the 5 Alberta teams were leaving, and word kind of came down the pipeline in the fall that Ryan Papuano with the Brooks Bandits, wasn't overly happy with the direction the AJHL was going with the interlock, and there had been talks of a super league for quite a while, right? So Ryan Papuano of the Brooks Bandits, an incredible hockey mind, great person. He was kind of the catalyst of this, leaving to go to the BCHL because of outside the parameters of the CJHL. A number of the things that he wasn't happy with, namely, if you're under 18, you can't recruit players outside of the province. They have to have a family member living there. So it was one of the things that had always irked some of those teams. And so, yeah, the 5 teams left and created a rift in the hockey world. And, a lot of the terminology that was coming around, is this the end of the AJHL? They should just join the SJHL. And what a disaster. How are they even going to survive? Will they even finish this season? And, information like that came around, and, those teams left and went to the BCHL. And at that time, seemed like it was greener pastures. It seemed like a shifting moment. But in the back of everyone's minds, everybody had always been hearing about this CHL NCAA relationship, that had this ruling that likely was probably already 12 to 18 months down the road, right? So the BCHL had a little bit of grace, so to speak, to really create this super league, ultimately what they've been trying to do. And that's the one thing, the one card they had was being a league that would just pump out NCAA scholarships nonstop. That is the premier league to do it. And hey, make no bones about it, BCHL Junior A is the best in Canada. It is. It's been the top for a long time. So that had been the spot. If you wanted an NCAA Division I scholarship, your Penn States, your Boston Universities, Denver, etc., that's where you would go, is to go to the BCHL. And then all of a sudden, this ruling comes down, and now we're seeing an exodus of players leaving the BCHL to come not only to the CHL, but it's CJHL as well. So for the BCHL, I think, when this ruling came down for them, I think it might have been a little earlier than expected. They had imagined it might have been a year down the road. So in a lot of ways, it does kind of look like the BCHL is kind of caught, not with their tail between their legs, so to speak, but just they're trying to play catch up right now and go, okay, how do we respond to this?
Why are they mad at you?
So I'm a freelancer. I do a lot of work for the AJHL, obviously HN Live, different clients here or there. And primarily, I've had a great relationship with the AJHL for a long time. So when the news came down, somebody in the BCHL leaked it to an employee of the AJHL, a play-by-play guy, who then puts it on Twitter, and he gets a lot of retweets. So, I'd run it up the flagpole to the AJHL and said, hey, is this information correct? They said, yeah, it's correct. Okay, cool. So I have kind of become an advocate, a partner of the AJHL, and I'm proud to, be an ally of them. I do a lot of work for them, as you mentioned off the opening, color commentator this year, somewhat of the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. I've done a lot of different, work for them over the years. I kind of took the stance of saying, okay, well, if the greener pastures are the BCHL, let's see what the fan base thinks. Because, as you know, Roddy, in the SJHL, for example, your small town junior A hockey, that's the thing to do on a Friday, Saturday night. Like, fans go, they get behind the team. If your local so-and-so player from Melfort happens to make the team, you want to go see him, right? So I thought to myself, okay, well, I know where the attendance figures are for some of these teams. I wonder what the fans are going to think, because the ones paying the bills, paying for the admission, ultimately are going to have a say in whether they support it or not. So I just started putting information out there on Twitter about some of the attendance figures, and they had kind of started to decline a little bit. And there were a number of reasons why. It was springtime. There was a lot going on. I got some pushback for that, but I think at that point in time was probably when, a lot of BCHL people put me up on their dartboard and said, this guy's the enemy. So
I hope you're okay with it. I'm used to, I'm on a lot of dartboards around the world. I don't really care. But the one thing is, people need to understand, the viewers that don't know, even the hockey people that do, I'm not sure there's any right answer to this. I mean, I was sitting Shoot, I was in Vancouver last week because there's so many different perspectives. It depends what side you're on. You tell me if you think this is right, Dave. Hockey guy said to me, somebody I respect, NHL scout, he goes, this is the way it should have always been. Tier 1, Tier 2. Tier 3, if you want to go Junior B, Junior C. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, Rod, the big component for me is, and when one of the agents had mentioned this to me in early November during an interview, he said, the hardest thing is sitting a child and parents down when the kid is age 14 and says, you need to make a decision on where the future of your hockey life is going. Is it going to go junior A or major junior? Does he want to go NCAA or does he want to play major junior and then go to U Sport? So that's a difficult decision to make at 14 and 15 years old because, as you know, in the Western Canada, the Western Hockey League, under 15 is when you're draft eligible. So if you get drafted, you've made your decision. So, in a lot of ways, that's hard to do. I can think of myself at 14 and 15. Good grief, Rod. 35, I'm making bonehead decisions in my life. 40, I'm 45. I'm still making bad decisions. At 14 years old, to have to make a decision and go, where's the future of your life headed? That's a hard thing to do. So I think you're right in a lot of ways. This is the right way to do it. I think that you should have options of go, okay, I want to play NCAA. I can still play a couple years of major junior because maybe grandpa's getting sick or, mom's got cancer. So I want to stay here and spend those 2 years and play. And then I know I want to get a great education so I can go south of the border and get that. I think it's the right way to go. I really do think there's a lot of great minds in the BCHL that I think if they had a little bit of time, can prepare for what they're going to do as the next steps. But certainly what you're seeing right now is a kind of, wow, I don't think we expected this to come as quickly as it did.
No. And I wonder if they're regretting breaking away from Hockey Canada the way that they did. But I just to clarify, I wasn't the one that said this is the way it should have always been. I'm just relaying it from a hockey person. But I think he's right, and I think you agree. And that's going to piss people off. That this is the way it should have always been. But now there's no decision to be made for the best players. There's no decision they got to make. So there's another reason why this is actually a good thing. But Dave, unless you have anything else, I got to run. We're out of time. But any final thoughts on this that we didn't cover?
No, Roddy, I think that, going forward, there's still a lot of chips to be played. People are talking, hey, are Brooks and Penticton, are they going to apply to join the Western Hockey League? What's going on there? And, there's still so many cards that haven't fallen yet and chips that haven't fallen yet. So this, I think, is going to take time, years to really play itself out. But I want to get this publicly out there. I'm not opposed to the BCHL. I love the BCHL. I think it's great hockey. So if I'm on your dartboard, leave me there. I can't control that. But I'm just a fan of people working together. And it's about the kids. It's not about you. It's about the kids.
Should be. David, I appreciate the time, man. Keep on keeping on.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks as always, Roddy.
Alberta broadcaster Dave Dawson. We'll be right back with a overtime right after this. Live on the Game Plus TV network, streaming live on YouTube and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's time for overtime, and it won't be that long. Rocky writes in just regarding our last discussion with Dave Dawson, and he says, by the sounds of it, no one has answers to these NCAA CHL questions yet. No, they don't. And it's just like college football down here, but they plow forward, and everybody does what's best for them. Isn't that the way that it goes? It is overtime, as I said, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Hello, Randy and Michelle. Check them out, everybody. Tell them the RP show sent you down there, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Golf has driving ranges. Baseball has batting cage. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? Well, they have them in Calgary, and they're proud partners of the RP show. Check them out, and you can thank me later. The surging Flames look for a fifth win in a row tonight when they visit the Ottawa Senators. Flames enter the night 1 point back of Vegas for first in the Pacific. Sens, meanwhile, look to snap a 5-game slide. Winnipeg Jets visit the Minnesota Wild tonight in a clash of the top two teams in the Central Division. The Jets enter the game at 17-4. The Toronto Raptors continue a 4-game roadie. Do they call it that in basketball? Raptors continue a 4-game road trip when they visit the Detroit Pistons tonight in the NBA. Raps opened the trip with a 122-108 loss at the league-leading Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday night. That dropped the Raptors to 0-9 on the road. Meanwhile, Hamilton's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder are in Sacramento tonight. Thunder enter the game tied with Golden State for first in the NBA West. While we're talking hoops, Trey Bell-Haynes led the way as Canada dug deep to beat Mexico 83-73 Sunday night in the FIBA AmeriCup qualifiers at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon. Bell-Haynes had 20 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds for Canada, who is 4-0 in these qualifying games. Week 12 of the NFL season wraps up tonight in Los Angeles as the Chargers welcome the Baltimore Ravens in the Harbaugh Bowl. Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Chargers, versus John Harbaugh, coach of the Ravens. Last time they met, 2013 Super Bowl. Or was it 2012? Either way, John won it. So last time they've met. Chargers have won 4 in a row to improve to 7-3. Good for second place in the AFC West. Ravens second in the AFC North at 7-4. And the Ravens favored by 2.5 tonight on the road. Should be a doozy. A person familiar with the negotiations tells the Associated Press left-hander Yusei Kikuchi and the LA Angels have agreed to a $63 million 3-year deal. An all-star with Seattle in 2021, Kikuchi was 9-10 with a 4.05 ERA this year for Toronto and Houston. Astros acquiring him on July 30th. The sports update brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use the promo code RPShow for 15% off at checkout. Do we have a movie review to read? Yeah, for Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Heretic. 2 young missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by diabolical Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, becoming ensnared in his deadly game of cat and mouse. No thumbs up from the Monday morning goalie for Heretic. But go check it out for yourself. Just a little too blood and guts for me. Final comments here. Randy from Winnipeg says, go Chargers, go Jets. Glad I have 2 TVs. Well, I think the hockey game should be over about in time for Monday Night Football tonight. Yeah, should be, right? For your sake, I hope so. Thanks to Dave Dawson. Thanks to Brian Snow. Thanks for our whole crew, Rocco and producer Clark. Max in Toronto will have to get to your question tomorrow. See you then, everybody.
Da, 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 da.